For the barbell glute bridge, the first thing I recommend doing is finding a good pad. This one is nice and thick, probably has about an inch to an inch and a half of padding. This is a fairly new one, and it's really easy to slip on and off. It also has kind of a curve here so that it fits a little better with the pelvic area. Here's another one that's pretty popular off of Amazon. It's the Hampton one. It has some Velcro to wrap around as well. This one's been very useful. It's still going strong after a couple years. Just make sure you find something that's thick and it works, because it is going to be sitting right on top of those hip bones. You also want to make sure that if you have one with a gap like this one, that gap is facing up. If you're using one that has Velcro, make sure that Velcro is not facing down, because that barbell will slip right out of there and it'll put all that weight on your hips. And if you got 400, 500, 600 pounds in that bar, it's not going to feel too good. So first thing I'm going to do is set up that pad. I'm going to make sure that pad is nice and centered on that barbell. I'm going to face the gap up. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sit on the ground and I'm going to center my body on the barbell. And I'm going to place those legs underneath that pad. I'm going to roll that pad up right towards my hips. Again, we want that gap facing up. If you got some of them tree trunk legs, feel free to elevate the plates off the ground. You can use some barbell plates. You can use some cut up rubber mats just stacked, just to elevate the plates off the ground to give your legs some room to get underneath there. Okay, so once I've got this over my hips, I'm going to lay flat on my back. I'm going to roll it up a little closer so it's right over my hips. I'm going to bring my feet up so my heels are about a foot away from my hips. You give yourself, the distance really doesn't matter. What does matter is you have a good leverage point that feels right for your body. Some people prefer to have about hip width. I prefer shoulder width. Make sure the feet are flat and the toes are straight ahead. I'm going to press the palms of my hands into that barbell, pressing it into my hips and the tops of my legs to create that tension. I'm going to raise my hips just enough so that I take all the slack out of that barbell. Now everything is on tension. From here, as I keep my shoulders driving into the ground, I'm going to take in a deep belly breath. As I press the weight into my upper leg and into my hips, I'm going to drive my heels to the ground and I'm going to squeeze my glutes to raise my hips up without rounding the back. I'm going to return back to the ground. Again, keeping the tension on that barbell. As you're getting used to this movement, I highly recommend at the top of each one, you hold it for 1 or 2 seconds. That way you actually know you're utilizing your glutes, you're squeezing them. You're not just extending your back or driving through the heels using the hamstrings or whatever it is to get up there. We really want to emphasize that power coming through the hips from the glutes. So once again, directly over the hips, heels back so these knees are about 90 degrees is a good starting point. Drive that barbell into the top of the leg and the top of the hip as well. Belly breath, take the slack out, drive the heels through, squeeze the glutes to the top, return back down. Once you're done, sit up, roll the barbell off, return to the standing position. Just make sure before you do the next set that you reset the pad so that gap is facing up. That's how you do the barbell glute bridge.